Well, it's good to be back and joined by Steve Sturman up in the West Midlands. Hi, Steve. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, that's all good, John. Really good.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Now, Steve, you are here to talk to us about mentoring and pastoral care. So I think most people here know you, but you're Associate Head of Doctors Ministries at CMF, consultant in neurodisability. Lots of experience, really, obviously very involved in CMF, and you've presented before. There's another Catalyst team session we did, which is online as well, recording of the work. But you've got an update for us today and some exciting developments. So I'm going to hand over to you.
Thanks very much, John. Grateful to you. Just trying to share my screen there. That has not worked for some dumb reason. 1 second. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this morning just about that's better, the pastoral care side of things. So I wanted just to quickly update us and then talk about some really exciting developments and they're going on in mentoring, and then Angela's, I think, going to join on and to show us how this can work out in practice locally. So just a quick recap. We started 3 years ago. We've got 23 pastoral partners now. And I just want to pay tribute to the quality of people God has sent us. We've appointed somebody, again, recognised as a pastoral partner this week, who's qualified in biblical counselling, and several of the pastoral partners have got qualifications of this sort. Some have done masters in pastoral care or spiritual direction. And I'm just astonished, really, at the quality of people God has sent. And notwithstanding qualifications, we've got people with huge and vast experience. So these are a great team that God's given us in pastoral care, and they're available 365 days a year through the website, and they're available for prayer and listening, for conference ministry. And latterly, we started to see that development of mentoring, and we're going to talk about that this morning. And I think you're aware that that is a key part of what we believe is needed for building resilient discipleship in our membership and encouraging real growth. I would just add that a big chunk of work has involved governance, and so we do have a pastoral care code of practice which we've updated actually just in the last few weeks, and that's a kind of a guide to good practice in pastoral care. And of course we have a safeguarding policy in CMF, which isn't just a tick box, it's about the culture of really caring for one another and keeping safe. So that's where we've got to with the whole process of pastoral care. And I should add as well, there's several members who are involved now in producing seminars and other materials for helping folks. So that's a growing area too. But only 3 out of 16 Catalyst teams seem to have a pastoral or mentoring Catalyst role appointed when I looked on IMIS this week. So the idea is there, but it doesn't seem as if that's translated heavily into as it were, work on the ground. And that's perhaps something that is a key theme of what I want to say this morning, that we've got to move a little bit now from things being done to starting to see things become more organic, more local, more, as it were, reactive to where we're all at. So I want to just, on that theme, talk about where we've been going with mentoring. And we started a national mentoring scheme last year, and in 12 months now. We've had a small but consistent uptake, and I'm really pleased with the feedback I've been hearing about people having quite long and deep and valuable relationships in mentoring. And these are people who've either contacted us at national conference, who've come forward looking for a mentor, people who've contacted us through the website, and maybe 1 or 2 referrals we've had. And that's been very special. And sometimes there's been specialist issues, like someone with a particular process they're going through in higher training who wants to talk to someone who's been there before as they've graduated from trainee to fully fledged career grade doctor. And that's all been great, but we realised that it's got to be much more organic than that. So in the last kind of 9 months, we've been looking increasingly at local mentoring networks. And that's the notion that we can set up little networks of people who are mentors and mentees. That's not quite as formal as the way we've been doing the national mentoring. And as you know, to be a mentor on the national scheme, you have to be recognised as a pastoral partner, and that means that an interview and references, and we DBS check you, and we train you, and we make sure you're supported. And it means that it's a high level of commitment that people show to be a pastoral partner mentor at that national level. But locally, we don't want it to be quite as difficult. And so we've been working on making a more informal scheme based really on people volunteering to come forward, but still giving an account of why they want to do mentoring and being approved, at least with a signature by their local church and either the catalyst team leader or another CMF member. So that's something we're going to talk a little bit more about. You'll hear from Angela what's been going on in East Midlands. There's other pilot meetings starting in West Midlands and Northern Ireland in October, and we're very excited to see how that is coming together. And I'll tell you a bit more about the nuts and bolts of that in a moment. Another idea, which I must give Angela the credit for, is the idea of micro-mentoring, which is just starting to germinate. This is the idea that people sometimes don't want a long, involved relationship. They just want to have a chat about something. And we're looking to develop this concept. And Angela will say a bit about how she's doing it in East Midlands, and I'll tell you a bit more in a moment. Not yet with us, but on the agenda, peer-to-peer group sort of mentoring is something we're also going to be looking at in the near future. And I think I've said this before, but there's a constant tension between governance and formality and accessibility and informality. And I just want to reassure you that that tension is understood by ourselves as we try and design and facilitate CMF pastoral care and wellbeing and mentoring. And we know on the one hand, it only works well when people have got trust, when there's accessibility, and when there's a sense of informality about it, relational stuff. But we can't deny that if we are setting this up as an organisation, then there has to be some sense of governance and formality as well. So getting that tension is something we recognise, and we just desperately trying not to over-engineer it, but equally not do anything that is likely to be unsafe in any way. So just a few things. For those of you who think, well, crumbs, we do need to get going with a pastoral catalyst, then we rewrote the role description, and it's available on the website, on the intranet, and John's got a copy of that he can circulate as well. And it is a big brief. There's a lot to do in there, but if someone's got a passion to kind of see the well-being of our members and people on the patch, then it's a great opportunity to work with others and to be part of that work. Secondly, we've got some resources for mentoring, and we've produced some new fact sheets, completely reworded them, and again, John will circulate the links on the website for those fact sheets. Will tell you what's involved in being a mentor and different ways you can do that, and what's involved in being a mentee and how that works. We are actually going to brand all of the kind of materials so that they're much more marketable, and that's literally happening next week, that we're having meetings to get the branding sorted. As I mentioned, for local mentoring networks, we're starting with some launch events as pilots in October next month, and to do that we will be bringing together people who want to have expressed an interest. We'll be recording some keynote speakers, certainly in the West Midlands event, and we're going to try and make those available more widely. James, thank you for that great suggestion. No point reproducing work if you can capture it. And then for those who think, well, where do I start? We've got a quick guide to local mentoring networks. Again, I've asked John if we can circulate that with the papers after the summit this morning. And also a very simple version of an application form you might want to adapt if you want to recruit your mentors for your local mentoring scheme. And micro-mentoring, well, we're trying to build a portfolio of people to put on the website so that you can quickly scroll down and say, how does the Christian in academic medicine work? How does it all fit together? People who've had life events in medicine, we have people who've been to high court, people who've fought ethical battles, people who've fought professional battles, and then the whole question of professional development, missionary work, global challenges. How do we have people who've got fantastic experience who can offer a brief session of maybe 45 minutes, an hour as a one-off conversation. It may be that would lead to other things, of course, but the idea is that you would be able to plug in and have from a portfolio, say, I just think I want to talk to somebody about that. And lo and behold, you've got someone on the end of a Zoom call or a phone. So those are some resources. And then finally, a real push then for trying to recruit pastoral mentoring catalysts in every team, so that the whole process of local mentoring networks can be started. And also we have a process then for helping people to be both recruited and, as it were, recognised as pastoral partners and mentors at part of the national team. And that would be fantastic if we could think of every catalyst team having a pastoral or mentoring catalyst by 12 months' time. And just finally, you've heard me talk perhaps in the past about a puzzle of engagement. How do we actually get to connect with members, with people in our kind of locality? And I want to put it to you, I think part of that is wholly relational. It's not about structures at all. It's about having people who open their homes and people who, as pastoral catalysts, facilitate those kind of relational things. And I begin to increasingly think that the puzzle of engagement is solved purely by our relational, as it were, loving kindness between us as Christians with Christ at the centre. So I think I'll stop there and open up for any questions or discussion, John.
Great, thank you, Steve. Yeah, maybe there's, if anyone has any questions you'd like to just ask them, you can either pop them in the chat or just unmute and ask. I think in the meantime, Angela, I think Angela will be preparing to share with us in just a moment, but if there's anything burning, I'll put the links there in the chat and I'll send them through again with the documents through an email.
If there's nothing burning, then please do contact me via my CMF email address, and that's great. And I'm going to hand over to Angela now, who's it's just been great to have fellowship with you, Angela, hasn't it, over the last year, and it's been lovely to work together. And Angela's, as it were, pioneered the way in East Midlands with pastoral care, and I think it's a good example. We just in my email this morning I said, didn't I, that the adaptation of what you do locally is flexible. I mean, as long as we've got some basic governance things sorted, then how it works for you in your patch will be, I think, the right fit. And it all depends, obviously, on what individuals can commit to. So that's great. Thank you so much, Angela. Over to you. And I'm afraid I'm going to have to leave fairly soon, so I might disappear, but because I'm in another meeting. But thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you today.
Hi, I'm Angela. I'm the East Midlands member, Catalyst team member for pastoral care. I live here in Derby with my husband and my two sons, and I'm a member. We've just formed a local Derby CMF group, so I'm a member of that. And we've also got local groups in Nottingham and Leicester. Now, East Midlands is a really large and diverse region, and to actually take, if you were to drive from Queen's Hospital in Burton up to Chesterfield in the north, across to Pilgrim Hospital, Boston, down to Northampton General and back again, take about 6 hours of driving. So as the pastoral care catalyst, I was really praying about and thinking about how I could, or how we, there's thankfully more than one pastoral care worker in our region. We've got Janet Baker, who I think might be sharing later, and Sheila Walsh. So yeah, really blessed. But just how are we going to connect people? How are we going to provide pastoral care for people? And then Steve got in touch with all the information about local mentoring, and I just thought, wow, this is brilliant. You know, I'm a mentor. Steve was talking about the national mentors. So I'm one of the national mentors, and I mentor a junior doctor who's not in this region. She's in another region. But that's been really fantastic to see her develop as a doctor and in her walk with God. So that's a great encouragement. And also I've been mentored. So I had a really tough period in my life. It's quite a long time ago now. 16 years ago, actually, and I had a mentor from a different charity, but it was so valuable. So I'm thinking, yeah, local mentoring, I can see that that's really going to be a way forwards here in the East Midlands. what can we do about it? So I prayed about it, and then this idea for mini or micro mentoring came up. Just the idea that somebody that's already been on a journey, whatever that journey is, and is further on, would be able to listen to, mentor and encourage, even just for a one-off time, somebody at the beginning of that journey, or somebody thinking about taking that journey, whatever that journey is. It could be a speciality, it could be that decision about going abroad to work in mission. It could be, you know, what's it like being a doctor with a chronic health problem or a disability. So lots of subjects where I was just thinking we could have someone who's got the expertise encouraging somebody else on their journey. And I was thinking, you know, how are we going to do that? How's it going to work out? What's going to happen? So blessed to have 6 of us here on the Catalyst team. So we've obviously been discussing that together. And our plan is we've got an East Midlands conference in October. And so we're going to have a mentoring session there. I don't want it to distract from the main theme of the conference, which we're going to be looking at the book of Esther. So I'm just going to do a little talk on mentoring, keep it brief. And then I'm going to have a display up with all the information on mentoring. I mean, Steve's produced a lot of literature. I think John's going to email it out to everybody for you to have a look at it, but I'm going to be printing off that literature and have it available there, a poster display. And during our long lunch hour, I think we've got about an hour and a half for lunch, I'll be there, and I'm hoping people will be inspired by my short talk in the morning, and they will come to me and they'll ask questions, and it'll be a chance for me to get to know them, find out where they are. And I think it'd be quite nice that it's not in a talk, that it's just sort of me and them, hopefully just for a few minutes, and I can just get an idea of where they're at. They can say confidentially, thank you, John. Yes. So I'm not actually on there, so I'll be there in the lunchtime, and I'm going to be doing a short walk at the beginning. I think we need to update our program slightly because it doesn't mention mentoring on there. But yeah, so that's the plan. I'm hoping I'll start some relationships there, and then we want to have some Zoom meetings where we can perhaps have a speaker talking about something. So it could be a speaker talking about, you know, how do I make big decisions such as choosing a career. So just a general speaker talking about what does the Bible say about those big decisions, and then breakout rooms and just put people together by speciality if that's the topic, but hopefully we'll be doing it on lots of different topics. And, you know, so we could have a breakout room of GPs, and we could have, you know, experienced GPs, hopefully having conversations with juniors who are thinking, shall I be a GP? Or even medical students who are just thinking, oh, you know, I want to see what it's like being a GP. You know, that's what I'm thinking I'll become in the future. You know, I just want some encouragement to keep going with my studies. And I just, really hoping that will be a real encouragement for people, but also a way of just linking people, because it will be on Zoom. And our local groups tend to meet locally, but those Zoom meetings I'm hoping will reach out, and those are, everyone can mix. So, you know, wherever you are in the region, you'll be able to come along and join those meetings. And also at the conference, I will be talking about the local mentoring scheme. And I'm also hoping that, like Steve was saying, they've got a list of, you know, mentors who've got some sort of some experience that they want to share, that they're really experienced in. I'm hoping to get a list like that, just a local little list, you know, of, you know, it could be someone who's a parent like myself, who's been there being a parent and a doctor, you know, just doing a one-to-one mentoring with someone who's a new parent. It could be on any topic, but perhaps things that are a bit more personal, to have those sort of mini mentors, people who don't want to commit that long-term thing, because of being a local mentor, you imagine a long-term relationship. So the doctor I'm mentoring, you know, we've signed up myself and her, we agreed on a year, and that can be a big commitment for some people. So we just want to find some people who perhaps do the occasional little session here in the East Midlands, or would be happy for me to get in touch with them if I know there's somebody who's got that issue and they're struggling and they might want to talk to somebody. So that's what we're doing here. Really exciting. Feel really, really do feel like God's moving, and he's just really blessed us as a team. So yeah, it's really exciting. I don't know, John, whether there's time for me to answer questions or not.
Yeah, if there's any questions people have, now's a good chance to do that. Just give you a short time to respond. Otherwise, we'll circulate, if that's okay, your contact details as well, Angela, and the resources you mentioned. If you'd like to unmute and ask a question, you can do, both to Steve and Angela. Really appreciate what you've been doing here, guys. It's really exciting to see it, and to see these resources come out just to help us to do this and to do it well is, I think, really much needed. So I'm very, very grateful. Thank you. We're quite quiet today. That's fine. That's fine. Well, look, what we'll say thank you so much for sharing that, and obviously we'll get your contact details for both yourself, Angela, and Steve. And yeah, we'd love to see this work really spread. It's ideally suited to local, relational connections that we have through Catalyst teams, and being able to facilitate that through a national network and organisation. It's a wonderful combination. So thank you very much.